Welcome to the Mischief. I'm Valen, and this is Young's Better Caves and Young's Better Mineshafts. I'm doing a split mod spotlight kind of coverage here. There isn't a lot for me to really bit by bit, but at least I can show you guys what these mods may encompass and how they can really enhance your Vanilla Plus playthrough or even your advanced ones. So as you can see, I have a lot of little waypoints on the horizon. I have them all over the place. These are things we're going to be checking out. First, we're going to be going into Young's Mineshaft, or Young's Better Mineshafts. This is actually a very rare occurrence to see a mineshaft that comes up to the surface, but it looks to enhance. Here, let me have a little sip of some night potion, of some night vision potion. It seeks to enhance everything that there is about the mineshafts in Minecraft. Now, in this case, all of them are replaced with these better versions, which are much larger. At least most of them are. There's often little side chutes that go off there, and as you can tell, I'm in creative right now. You'll have slants. You'll actually even have powered rails throughout. You'll have some strange carts. You'll have treasure carts as well, even though you see another TNT cart down here. You may also find little treasure rooms or processing spots. I'll be kind of going through some of those, but let's kind of go into this a little bit. Each one of these seems to, in my experience, oh, here we go. There's like a little bit of a secret spot that you can go in, find a little spawner in a treasure chest, but it seems to have a main mine shaft. And then off of that, you'll have several little offshoots that may happen. And each biome is going to be different. So let's actually change my game mode here. There we go. I am now in spectator mode, so I can fly out into the world. Everything about this is normal vanilla world gen minus the mine shafts in this. I will be showcasing the caves after this because otherwise it makes it very difficult to see them. But as you can see, there's like a little craft room over here. There's all sorts of like ups and downs and arounds, and often they'll have like different support beams, bridges, structures, and all sorts of crazy stuff going around here. And it's just really nice change. It even gives you a lot more of the like the powered rails and stuff, so you don't have to have mined up a lot of the redstone in order to make those. So I find that kind of nice. And this is just kind of like, this is a mesa biome or a badlands biome, whatever you want to call it. Let's explore another one, shall we? And this one here is below a dark forest. It's relatively standard, but some of the colors are going to be a little bit more saturated. As you can see, it has the main mine shaft tunnel. Then it has a few coming off of them with like points of interest here and there dotted about. Sometimes you can find little ore veins at the very end. In this case, I actually found a little bit of iron. It's not always at the main areas. It often can be some of these little offshoots, but not always. Sometimes they just lead to a dead end, or they may end up leading into another structure that may have some treasure. So let's explore another one that's kind of similar to this, and then we'll get into a lot of the more extravagant ones that are really cool. Now this one here is just your standard one. It's kind of little accidents may happen with these, you know, some of the lava gen. We're all familiar with this in the world, but this is just underneath a swamp area, and you can see that the vines in this case have become desaturated. You might again find little rooms of interest and stuff along the way, but it just kind of changes a little bit of the aspect, just the color and the biome change. Now let's get into some of the really cool biomes that have a lot of changes in how things look. All right, here we are below a savanna. As you can see, I'm floating around here. Let's go into the main chamber, and you can see there's a lot of acacia. And of course, the slightly desaturated yellowed leaf variants throughout. It doesn't add a lot of difference to this one, but it does definitely make it at least look a bit different with the difference of wood types being used throughout the tunnel. So let's get into some that change the stone types. Going with the darker, or well, with the drier setup at least, if I go into something a little bit more drier, like I believe I'm below a desert right now. Yes, I am. You can see that we currently have quite a bit. If I turn on this, we've got like sandstone and such throughout here, really giving it a totally different feel. And once again, a lot more of the interesting side rooms as well as the little side tunnels. I've got a few other mods in here. That's why I've got like the black pool. I just wanted to see how it worked with world gen of it, and it seems to interact just fine. But you can see that there's just lots of little, once again, points of interest throughout some of these tunnels. Some of them a little bit more interesting than others. We've got an interesting little like mob spawner room set up here with what looks like old dead miners that didn't quite make it. And now let's get into some chillier climates. This one here is really where it starts to change. When you start getting into like the frostier biomes, something a bit colder, you can start seeing that there's a definite change. We've got like your packed ice, and all of the vines themselves have turned into like a piney color, just as you would expect in here. It still has a lot of the same surprises and whatnot, but the feel of it is totally different, and finding ores is a little bit more challenging, what with snow covering a lot of the floors, but at least you can access ice and packed ice a little bit easier than having to find an ice spikes biome. Speaking of an ice spikes biome, this one here tends to get very frigid and cold indeed. It's almost entirely packed ice in here with a little bit of variance. If I turn this back on, we've got blue ice and packed ice and stuff mixed up. It really adds to the winter wonderland feel. And of course, it still has the same effects and so on. Now, some of these can be very large. This one's probably about a medium-sized one. Oh, look at this. Looks like we've got some bridge structures going on. Sometimes when you get the bridge structures, it'll actually have support beams coming up and supporting these. But that wasn't a very large one. If you get the larger cave generation by adding in something like quark, then that can really make a difference. Or Young's Better Caves. Now, I do have one last one to show off before we end the Mineshaft segment of this video. And that, my friends, is mushrooms. Oh yes, that's right. The mushroom biome has fantastic and fabulous, crazy shenaniganery when it comes to the mushroom setup here. It is ridiculous and very rare indeed. And there are different rarities for how often some of these things happen. Obviously, I'm below a mushroom biome. They don't always show up underneath here, but when they do, they are very multicolored, very pretty, and as one would expect, relatively mob-free. And with that in mind, let's change the world generation completely, because right now, seeing a lot of your vanilla world gen, which is like some occasional snaking stuff, we are going to need to see a little bit more of, well, better caves. And here we are in Better Caves. Yes, there's a little bit of some of the Mineshaft stuff behind me, but you can see how it actually starts building in supports when the caves start getting really big. But this takes the vanilla Minecraft version of the caves themselves and kind of really expands on it. It makes them rather slanty. Often they will be, let's see if I can actually float up here, connected in many different ways. Let me change my game mode so I can fly around a little bit easier. All right, there we go. I am now in spectator mode, but as you can see, it will offer large open spaces, pools. There's a little bit of world gen issue there, but you know, I mean, the occasional tiny little bit is nothing. If you float in here, you can see that there is a lot of open space underground now that you might need to worry about. So the threat is really going to be underground, but it is still really cool. I mean, look at this. You get like these giant, massive lava lakes, which can really be a point of interest or power, depending upon what kind of playthrough you're going for. And you can just see there's underground or underwater caverns that you could swim through, potentially dig through, but they're almost all interconnected. I mean, there may be some spots where they just don't quite reach, but otherwise it's really interesting how they can just be this giant network of caves. It can keep you down there for days on end, having a lot of fun just mining ores, exploring, finding interesting stuff, and so on. Now to take things one step further, I am using better Mineshafts, better caves, and I added in quark, which adds in a lot of stalactites, stalagmites, and a few other different options. You can see how the world gen kind of generates with a lot more interest in it, so it's not just regular blocks anymore. Adding all these speleotherms really makes a difference with how things look. Now, of course, you still get all sorts of crazy mine shafts, you know, going on. You can see all sorts of really creative stuff just throughout, and it really livens up the underground for any playthrough. So I hope you guys enjoyed this bit by bit on Young's Better Caves, Young's Better Mineshafts, and also a little throw in there for Quark. So if you did enjoy, please be sure to give a like, comment, subscribe, and as always, don't be afraid to come visit us on Twitch and spread the mischief to others. See you guys next time.